Hello, everybody. So it is Sunday, October, no, September 24th, and I'm here to film my October TBR. My name is Beth, and if you're new to this channel, welcome to my channel, and if you're not, welcome back to my channel. So I'm doing things differently this month. I'm not setting a TBR. I'm going to kind of mood read this month. There's only one book for certain that I'm going to be reading, and that is my buddy read with my friend Chris, and that is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This is about a last of the magicians back in 1806, I think that's the year, in England, and then he comes across another magician, and sparks fly, I guess is what you would say. So it is quite chunky, and so I have pulled books, I've filmed TBR, I've pulled prompts, and been disgusted with with the way things have turned out. But this is what I'm going to do this month. I'm going to just show you what I have pulled out. And yes, so another book that I really, really want to get to is The September House. I'm hoping that I can get to this before September is over. This is Kindle from Bookphoria's buddy read for September. Obviously, it's September. But, yes, and that's just the cover. I've got it off and started. Okay. So, one that kept coming up when I was filming and refilming was did you hear about Kitty Carr? And I'm trying to fulfill my prompts for Book of the Month. And when I get my Book of the Month box, I may be reading a couple of those as well. So I'm just mood reading, which is something new to me because I always set a TBR. I don't always stick with it, like down to the, but for the most part, I try to. But this is about it says, when Kitty Carr Tate, a white icon of the silver screen, dies and bequeaths her multi-million-dollar estate to the St. John sisters, three young, wealthy black women, it prompts questions, lots of questions. And Elise St. John is a celebrity in her own right. And it says she would rather focus on sorting out Kitty's affairs than dealing with the press. So, anyway, I really want to read this and see what it's about. And I'm very intrigued. It keeps coming up every time I pull a prompt. Actually, it was on Paperbacks and Ponytails game. It kept coming up with item you would pack, and the necklace that she has on is what I kept coming to, that would be what, if I had a necklace like that, I would definitely pack it if I was going somewhere. The other book of the month that I have pulled down is one that has been on my TBR for a while, and I want to finally get to these Violent Delights. It is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, and it's set in Shanghai. It's 1926, and it's about an 18-year-old girl, Juliet Kai, and her first love and first betrayal, Roma Montega. It's another pretty chunky book, but I want to get this started because it's a duology, and then Foul Lady Fortune kind of stems off of it. So, yes. And so there's that one. Another one I've kept putting on my, now this isn't a book of the month, but another book that I have kept putting on my TBR and haven't gotten to is the new Ruth Ware book, 0 Days, and I want to get to it. And it says, Jacinta or Jack Cross and her husband Gabe are the best security penetration specialists in the business. Hired by companies to test the strengths and weaknesses of their system, Jack handles the physical break-ins while Gabe tackles the digital aspects. They make an excellent team outside of work too, but after a routine assignment goes horribly wrong, Jack arrives home to find her husband dead. To add to her horror, the police are closing in on their only suspect, her. And this is last September's pick for book by an author you love. So I'm just going to keep that in there. I still want to get to it, so I'm going to keep it on my TBR. Just kind of possibilities. This is possibilities. Now, let's see. Another possibility, with this being October, I didn't want to read Dracula, but I thought maybe Dracula by Dacre Stoker and J.D. Barker. And it says, it is 1868 and a 21-year-old Bram Stoker awaits in a desolate tower to face an indescribable evil. Armed only with crucifixes, holy water, and a rifle, he prays to survive a single night, the longest of his life. Desperate to record what he has witnessed, Bram scribbles down the events that led him here. A sickly child, Bram spent his early days bedridden in his parents' Dublin home, tended to by his caretaker, a young woman named Ellen Crone. When a string of strange deaths occur in a nearby town, Bram and his sister Matilda detect a pattern of bizarre behavior by Ellen. A mystery that deepens chillingly until Ellen vanishes suddenly from their lives. Years later, Matilda returns from studying in Paris to tell Bram the news that she has seen Ellen, and that the nightmare they've thought long ended is only beginning. So, I know the story of Dracula because I've read it, and I want a good palate cleanser, so I want something sweet and wonderful, and this book comes recommended. I think I know I saw it on Paperbacks and Ponytails channel, and I believe she really liked it. So I want to read The Sisters of Seaview by Julie Clausen. And this is about three sisters. I don't know where I got three sisters. It's about some sisters, okay? Maybe it's just two sisters. No, it says Sarah Summers and her Gentile sisters. Okay. And their father dies, so they turn their home into like a beachside resort or bed and breakfast. And Viola, one of the sisters, wears a veil to cover her scar. And when forced to choose between helping in her family's new guest house and earning money to hire a maid to do her share, she chooses the latter. So I think that'll be really good. I got this one at Goodwill. I know there's a sticker on it. And this is about, this one was pretty close to home for me. I mean, it's not. It's in Louisiana. It's set in Louisiana, I think. I think part of it's set in Louisiana, part of it in Ohio, but it just felt kind of like a particular song. But it's called The Girls in the Stilt House by Kelly Mustang. Anyway. It says, a beautiful and harrowing tale of two young women cast in an unlikely partnership through murder. Ada promised herself she would never go back to the trace, to her hard life on the swamp and her harsh father. Sorry, I have to take my glasses off. Sometimes I read better when it's up close with them off. But now, after running away to Baton Rouge and briefly knowing a different kind of life, she finds herself with nowhere to go but back home. And she knows there will be a price to pay with her father. Matilda, daughter of a sharecropper, is from the other side of the trace, doing what she can to protect her family from the threats and demands of some particularly callous locals is an ongoing and escalating struggle. She forms a plan to go north to pack up the secrets she's holding about her life in the South and hang them on the line for all to see in Ohio. As the two girls are drawn deeper into a dangerous world of bootleggers and moral corruption, They must come to terms with the complexities of their tenuous bond and a hidden past that links them in ways that could cost them their lives. And I think it might actually take place close to Mississippi, if not in Mississippi, because I don't know how far the trace extends. I do know it is in Mississippi. I'm not sure. I could be so far out of bounds with that one. But I am very anxious to read that and see what it's about. So, The Girls in the Still House. And let's see. Oh, maybe it's time for these two up here. I told you I have lots. And if I don't read this before the month is out, I want to get to The Housemaid, which was Carla's pick on Fable for her for this month. She's a booktuber. I can link her channel down below if anybody's interested. And I want to show these together. This is a book, it's one of my 23 from 23, but I always associate this author with like Gothic style writing, so I thought it would be good. I have started it, but I've only made it to page 15, so. And it's The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, and it's about the daughter of Dr. Moreau and some hybrids. They're part human and part animal monstrosities. I'm guessing that Dr. Moreau is the creator of these hybrids. Okay, and then, I took Frankenstein by Dean Koontz. It's time for me to finish this series. This is book 4 of 5. And so this is Lost Souls. I don't want to really tell you about this, but he took the Frankenstein and put his own twist on it. And it's in a modern version. And it's just amazing. And so then I have, who better but Miss Agatha Christie to help me in my October. So I really want to read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. And it says, Roger Ackroyd knew too much. He knew that the woman he loved had poisoned her brutal first husband. He suspected also that someone had been blackmailing her. Then tragically came the news that she had taken her own life with an apparent drug overdose. However, the Evening Post brought Roger one last fatal scrap of information, but before he could finish reading the letter, he was stabbed to death. Luckily, one of Roger's friends and the newest resident to retire to this normally quiet village takes over. None other than Monsieur, I can't say it, Hercule Poirot. So, I love Poirot. He is like my all-time favorite character. And then I have Peril at End House, and this is about Nick Buckley, and she's having all these accidents, and Poirot, he just decides that she needs his protection after he discovers a bullet hole in her hat, and he begins to unravel the mystery of a murder that hasn't been committed yet. And then Crooked House, it says the Leonides are one big happy family living in a sprawling ramshackle mansion. That is until the head of the household, Aristide, is murdered with a fatal barbiturate injection. Suspicion naturally falls on the old man's young widow, 50 years his junior, but the murderer has reckoned without the tenacity of Charles Hayward, fiancé of the late millionaire's granddaughter. And I don't know if this is Hercule Poirot, Miss Marple, or it doesn't say. And then it doesn't say on the back, when it lists them, some of them, So that is it. That's my pile of possibilities. I'm not going to hold them up. There's quite a few. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 picked out. I know I'm probably not going to read them all, but I'm excited to just kind of relax and not press myself to read all of the books that I've drawn out of the jar. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up down below. And if you want to see more from me, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.